Recently, I did a video on horror game difficulty, and I spoke about how certain things can affect your perception on horror. When a game gets too difficult, it can just drain the fear out of a situation, and when puzzles are too hard, you can get tired of them and end up looking the solution up instead of trying to work them out the way the developers intended. Forbidden Siren is a game that's caught me in between the two. To be honest, playing Forbidden Siren wasn't much fun for me, and its fear was cancelled out by its frustration. But the sad part is that underneath that, it's a brilliant game.
We're safe here.
The sea.
The village is disappearing.
Leader, look.
The game's atmosphere alone is one of the best I've ever seen in a horror game, and one of the few that was still eerie in design long after my fear of the game had faded away. Its creepy, scratchy cutscenes look like a half-remembered dream, and the thick fog and stifling darkness make traversing the levels foreboding. It feels so unique. The music is so dissonant and weird that it, on top of everything else, from the character faces that fade away as they change expressions, to the weird screams and howls of the unearthly Shibito, make the whole game feel like a nightmare of a place you've never seen, an alien's dream, someone who's heard of life on Earth but has never actually seen it. But where things started to go south is how things that worked well for the horror also worked well to push you away from it. Having a map that doesn't show you where you are on it has worked in games before to give me this sense of immersion. A real map doesn't show you where you are. It shows you where a car is parked on the map, and if you find a car, you can figure out where you are. But the map is also covered in either that stifling fog or impenetrable darkness, so finding that car to begin with can be challenging. Being lost in the fog is one of the things that made Silent Hill so eerie and confusing, and it's unsurprising to learn that the same person directed Silent Hill 1 as Forbidden Siren. But unlike Silent Hill, Forbidden Siren has you accomplish tasks in an open area and lets you go about doing them in your own way. Silent Hill still has you collect keys and get to areas, solving puzzles and defending yourself, but Forbidden Siren's tasks are harder and more obscure. Each level has a main objective, with Mission 1 requiring you to essentially go through the level to the exit avoiding enemies, which can still be challenging, but at least the premise makes sense. Mission 2 is required to progress the game, but isn't told to you at all the first time around, and from my limited experience, Mission 2 is sometimes something nonsensical to the event at hand. An early level has Mission 1 as a tutorial to guide you through the level and teach the mechanics, but Mission 2 of the same level requires you to climb onto a random house and find a letter on the roof.
And look for me.
Yeah. Yeah. A letter.
The game is difficult to control and has lots of awkward animations, and there are many ways to die, from sudden unpredictable gunshots to the back, to your AI partner getting stuck and killed by Shibito, or even standing awkwardly in a door blocking you from your escape, getting you both killed. There are an astounding number of armed Shibito in most levels, and it makes sudden gunshots through the impenetrable fog the main source of the fear for me. The game gives you the still impressive power of sightjacking to be able to see through the eyes of the Shibito, which is immensely creepy and disturbing, but it's also helpful for knowing where they are and what they can see, be it your player character or certain objects of interest. Death, however, is still unpredictable, and plans can go wrong very quickly. Restarting from checkpoints can clear any of the Mission 2 progress that you made along the way, and restarting the level is something that almost seems required to feel your way through it, to understand what it is that you're meant to do, with lots of confusing side objectives and items that don't seem to have any relevance to the mission at hand. Another early level had a key and a broken radio that were available to pick up, that had nothing to do with Mission 1 or Mission 2 at all. And then another level, the only way to complete one objective was to get your AI partner to hide behind a specific object so they could pick up a key that you can't even see. Many people state that they need to resort to a guide to finish the game, and it's very obvious why. What's really impressive is that the game's atmosphere persists underneath this, and its strange music holds up time and time again through these levels you'll end up repeating. However, its fear, for me at least, didn't last very long at all. After completing enough of the Mission 1 parts of levels, the game tells you you've reached the end of a loop. The game then restarts with slight changes, and sometimes will now tell you, however unhelpfully, what Mission 2 is. Again, it still doesn't make it clear that you've got to do these, and you can still finish the level by doing Mission 1, but it's still a bit of a step in the right direction. The game can keep looping over and over until you start completing Mission 2 objectives, and then you can unlock the stage select. Though I ended up having to resort to a guide to understand what half of these Mission 2 requirements even were, and even then with the map being obtuse to use, a written guide was only helpful so far, and I ended up using a video to explain to me exactly what to do. A lot of Mission 2 requirements were much harder and really required a better understanding of the level. But the act of repeating the levels, of running through them blindly to try and figure out what to do, finding objects that seemed important but weren't, and then watching someone else play the level so I could figure out how to progress, just ruined the experience entirely. This frankly astounding horror game was locked off behind some frustrating and confusing gameplay. I don't think I made it even a third of the way into the game before having just 6 hours of useful footage and several months of sporadic attempts had passed, and I had very little to show for it. I just didn't want to play the game. Every time I think about Forbidden Siren, I think about the unique atmosphere and unsettling bug enemies that grew wings and flew into the sky, but I also remember the tedium of throwing myself at it over and over, waiting for something to finally stick until I was desensitized to pretty much everything. I couldn't review Forbidden Siren the way I normally do. There's no point talking about the story since I couldn't get to it. Watching someone else explain it is no substitute for experiencing it yourself. I don't know if the game gets gorier or better or worse, and for a normal review, it's about experiencing it and nobody else can do that for me. My friend Ruby captured some of the other footage used in the video, and with a guide, they didn't make it as far as I did, before also getting tired of it and giving up. It is a shame that a game so highly recommended is one that I just can't enjoy, no matter how hard I try. And that's pretty much all I have to say on Forbidden Siren. I will still be referencing it in other videos, but I'll probably never review it properly, and I kind of hope you understand why. Thank you for watching, and I'm sorry, I guess.